Are we rolling yet? I know I'm doing my cold open. It's very cold. Actually, it's warm in here. I came from the cold though. The cool thing is we have Kelvin. Actually, no, we don't have Kelvin. What you notice is that we have microphones. So the network allowed us to upgrade and get nice things. The unfortunate part about upgrading and getting nice things is we have to pay for those things. And so what we made a really tough decision, and instead of the microphones not being here, we decided Kelvin shouldn't be here. So it is with a heavy heart to let everybody know that this is our new Kelvin. He's another Jock and Jock leather bag. It's my favorite travel bag. But you will be able to hear us clearly. Am I right? All right, Sam. Roll the music. We're back. All right, guys. Welcome to the Unapologetic Podcast, where we are here to forge, destroy, and kill the way that you view the business of entertainment and beyond. Because actually, as I was thinking on my travels as a traveling man, I thought eventually this podcast is going to turn into far more than me just talking about the business of entertainment, because I have so many interests. But for the sake of our conversation today, we're going to be talking about something. And somebody at some point is going to tell me what we're talking about. What are we talking about? My left side is here. She'll tell us, because the bag it looks good. Not much useful though after that. What are we talking about?
Great defense works great in sports, but not in business.
This is true. Great analysis. That's the end of the podcast. That's a quote. So I want to start by a story, an anecdote, if you will, that I don't know has anything to do with what the question is, but I think it's actually interesting. So 2 days ago, I landed, or 2 days ago yesterday, I don't know. One of the days I landed back in South Africa, and I was in the lobby of a hotel, and I went to the bar naturally. And there's these ladies that were sitting there, and they're like, oh, hey, you see your luggage. Where'd you come in from? And I was like, I just got in from LA. And like, oh my gosh, that sounds like a super long flight. And I was like, yeah. They're like, well, how long is it? I was like, it's like 27 hours. They're like, ah. And they clutch their pearls. Actually, they clutch like this. And I was like, yeah, it's long. And they're like, oh, so what do you do? I was like, I do a lot of business stuff, some stuff in entertainment. I never really tell people it's like, if you already don't know, I'm not going to tell you, because it's not really, I don't really care for the attention in that way. Anyways, and so I was like, yeah, I travel a lot. Like last year, I did like 4,000 miles in the air. And they're like, geez, that's a long time. And then they were like, and one was a medical doctor, or she's a medical doctor. The other one's an attorney, but they're sisters. And so the medical doctor, as I was talking, she was like, oh my gosh. She was like, you feel like you're doing a lot of things. Like, I really just want to like reach out and consult you, because I feel like, but your mental health, like, how are you managing to do, these things? And you're going to burn out. And, I feel like you really need to take a mental health day. Like, my diagnosis, my recommendation for you is that you have to take a mental health day. Like, how would what does that even look like? And she's like, well, it could be anything. You can just take a day, you just take it just for yourself. And I was like, what about in the air? I was like, I take a day when I'm in the air. She's like, yeah, but you're flying. And I was like, yeah. And then I said, so your recommendation is that I should take a mental health day to go and relax when I'm trying to build a legacy, correct? And she's like, yeah, but even in the legacy, you have to rest. And I said, it's a good point. So I said, I agree with you. My pushback is this. Everything that you love and everything that you enjoy, the places that you want to go on vacation to, the resorts, the hotels, this hotel, the shoes that you might want to buy, your clothes, your handbags, all of those things, right? Were created by people that were not concerned about their mental health, so that you could have those nice things. That's why I'm not taking a mental health day, because I'm trying to build something that generations afterwards are going to want to buy and consume. And one day I will take that break, but that one day isn't today. Now, the reason why I start with that story as it leads into this conversation is because oftentimes, if you do look at it from the sports complex, defense is something that's necessary. Defense is something that every team has to play. It allows you to protect whatever it is that you have, right? So in the beginning of a game, teams are feeling each other out, right? Whether you're playing basketball or football, whatever it is, it's all the same things. We're feeling each other out. Then you try to get into your strategy, and then maybe somebody scores a goal, gets a basket, and then the whole point after that is to be able to defend your win, right? That's the whole point of having a defense. That's why countries have militaries, because they have resources, and they're saying, we want to protect our resources. So in business, you definitely want to protect your resources, but you don't protect your resources in the same way that you would necessarily do it in sports. What do I mean by that? I'm so much more focused now, because as I'm sitting here, I'm going like, I'm getting really into the weeds with this, and I'm realizing it's because Kelvin's not here to distract me with all of these things. So as I'm getting into this like super detail-oriented, super sophisticated dialogue that I'm getting ready to go into, I was like, I could always be like this. It's because of Kelvin. R.I.P. Kelvin. Let's smoke one for Kelvin. Shout out to Kelvin. Hope he's watching it. Kelvin, don't forget to like and share and subscribe to this podcast. Share it with all of your friends. All right, back to our regular scheduled programming. So in business, the goal is that you have to build streams, revenue streams as your defense. You don't shut down and just protect what you already have. So for instance, even an artist, it doesn't matter what type of artist. You can be a painter, you can be a web designer, you can be an actor, you could be a dancer, you could be a writer. If you're only able to do one thing, and that's the only thing that you're able to do, what is hedging you from life happening? So if I'm a dancer, for an example, left side's a dancer. If something were to happen to her, heaven forbid, and she couldn't dance again, what do you do? How are you able to leverage off of what the skill sets that you've been working most of your life to be able to perfect and refine, right? This is where the problem starts to become. As most artists, we become one-trick ponies. So we spend all of our time saying, I'm just going to be a great actor, I'm just going to be a great writer, I'm just going to be a great dancer, cinematographer, and all that is great, and you absolutely have to do that. But you also, your defense has to be diversification. So when I say as the difference of sports, is sports oftentimes an entire team can shut down their offensive initiatives to just reserve resources to protect their basket, right? So they're no longer pushing forward. They're now just holding on. The problem is sometimes in even great sports, if we're using the sports analogy, which is what we're doing, that even a team will start to get so defensive that then when something gets behind them and teams start to score, they're not able to crank up the offensive flow again because now they're coming from behind. So what I always say in business is that your best defense is a better offense. If you're looking at it from the National Football League's perspective in the United States, now more money is spent on offense than there is on defense. Everybody's like, we'd rather have a better offense. If you look at the NBA in the 80s and the 90s, basketball final scores were like 85 to 89, right? And that was a big game. Now, if you look at the NBA, the final scores are 145 to 137. That's insane, right? That's a 35 to 40% increase because they're like, people want more offense. There's more money to be made in offense. It's going bigger, go home. So in entertainment, you have to be able to continue to produce more. You can't just say James Cameron because his movie Avatar, was it Fire and Ice? Sorry, James. I hope I can work with you one day. If he ever sees this, he would never. Off the principle alone that I just butchered the Avatar thing, I would never work with James Cameron. James Cameron would never want to work with me. I've just ruined my career. This podcast has to work, guys. Subscribe to this Patreon because I've just sabotaged my whole career. Fire and ash. Imagine if James was like, I'm just going to stop at Titanic. Titanic made a couple $1 billion. I think it made over a little bit over $1 billion. And then $2 billion. Yeah, okay, so $2 billion. He easily could have said, you know what, I'm good. I'm done. I'm not going to do anything big after this. I'm going to just protect my legacy of doing something big and monumental. But he didn't do that. He decided, okay, great. I've done something. This is like my proof of concept to give me the confidence to know that I can do this. Now we're going to go do something crazier, something bigger and better. And that becomes the great hedge. Because at the end of the day, at least you're going forward. And oftentimes what happens for us in our careers or even in our lives is that we finally get something good. And then instead of trying to build on the good, we try to hold on to the good. And then life happens and then the good stops becoming good and now it just becomes okay. And then it becomes dated and old and you haven't built anything and now you're behind. So when we're having this conversation about business, you as an artist, you as a business person, you have to think for yourself, what are the other things that I should be doing to be able to build a hedge for myself, right? And so for myself, as an artist, as an actor primarily started, it was like, well, I've always, because I'm very delusional and I'm very manic, I've always been very vision-based. And I've always believed in dreams and I've always believed in doing things far outside of my reality. And that became my hedge. Then it became, do you have enough energy and discipline? And are you willing to put your money where your mouth is? Because that's oftentimes the biggest thing as well. Because this is where, if you read the book, which is in my book that drops today. When is this podcast going to come out? Yeah, we don't know. Well, the book drops today, but the book probably had dropped another day before this day. So go get this book, Opulent Artist book. I promise you it's a great book. I spent a lot of time, smoked a lot of cigars. I smoked a lot of our Bongani cigars and drank a lot of wine with that book. But I promise you it's a great book. It's about building a global career from no matter where you are in the world. What was I saying? What was I saying before this? Before I decided to go on my little rant? What was I saying? Defense. Yeah, it's defense. But I was getting somewhere. I had a joke. I'm like an old man. Well, I have bits. It's more of a bit. They're not really jokes. They're just bits. That's tough. I was on a roll, and then I started thinking. That's the problem. Don't think. You mustn't think. Yeah, I have to. But I need to take a moment to really figure out. I was on to something. I had because I said it. I have it in the book. What did I have in the book? We should roll to playback. Okay. I hope it's business. Well, actually, knowing me, who knows what we're talking about. Anyways, it's going to come to me. I promise you guys. And I'll also let everybody know that, no, I'm not drunk. And two, is because I've been in, from this time that we're doing this podcast, I've been in 4 countries, 3 states, and 4 time zones in 6 days. That's why she was saying my mental health, that she's concerned about my mental health. I was like, what's there to be concerned about? I'm fine. I've never been happier. Great defense, offense. No one wants to help me. I'm so alone. Bag, jock and jock. Jock and jock, do you have anything to say? Do you remember what I was saying? This is where people were probably typing in. Like the network cuts coming in saying it feels like he's spiraling. No, I was saying something brilliant and then I forgot. I lost my train of thought because I had thoughts outside of that. But the network is standing here and looking at me. What? What do you want?
You good? Because I'm worried about your mental health.
Everyone's worried about my mental health. Guys, I'm fine. The only time that my mental health will not be good is you don't subscribe to this Patreon. And buy Bongani cigars and Tao wines. And these Jock and Jock bags. All premium luxury. Okay. I'll keep going. But I'm going to remember. Anyways. So, great defense, offense. So, having to be able to have a great head. So, for myself as an artist, I knew that at a certain point in my career that if this ends, and this is, I now remember. No. It's after that.
6 days. days.
6 days, four time zones, 3 time zones, 3 states, 4 countries. Yeah, that's diabolical. That's wild business. Yeah, with James. Yeah. That's wild behavior. That's, you know how many miles that is? I think I did like 45,000 miles. It's a lot of miles to do. No one is listening to this podcast to listen about my miles. But shout out to Delta. If Delta wants to become a sponsor, I am more than happy. And I've done a Delta commercial. Delta, I've already done a commercial for you. Let's go, baby. I should be your 360 list. Their 360 list is their most premium list. You don't get to like travel more and then like get to the tier. They have to call you. Like you have to be called. Delta has to call you and says like, hey, we feel like you're so premium that we'd like to invite you in. And it doesn't matter. You can have tens of millions of miles. You can be their diamond medallion member, which is their top member for a decade. It doesn't matter. Delta's like, we have to see value. That's very opulent. I like that. I'm striving for that. Shout out to Delta. Delta doesn't care about me. Yes, they do. But I realized early on in my career that at a certain point, what happens if you're doing this acting thing and then you say something wrong? Like I make somebody upset, right? And I'm not necessarily known with having the greatest filter in the world. And so that was a piece of advice that I thought, you know what, that's probably smart. Like you have to be able to hedge this thing. But I operate now in offense, I don't retract in fear. I move forward because I'm in fear. So if I move forward at a high clip, try to create as many different streams as possible, create as many ideas as possible and see what sticks. I'm doing that because I don't want to fail. Because failure to me is stagnation. Failure to me is saying, I'm going to do this one thing, and the only time that I'm ever going to work is if I'm doing this one thing. But then you're not building anything, because then where is your contacts? Where is your network going to be coming from? And this is all part of the offense. This is all part of like the entertainment space. It's like you're saying that you want to do something, but you're not studying the things that you're doing, that you say that you want to do. You're not surrounded by other individuals that are able to nurture, guide, or protect that which you're already doing, or even advise on what you're doing. So this is all offensive things so that you can do more. Part of the same thing is this, even in auditions for actors. If you're only getting an audition, let's just say once a week, every time that you get that audition, that thing is going to mean the world to you. Right? Because you're like, I might only have one for once a week. Some actors maybe only get one audition every month, right? That's tough. I've been there. So if you get one audition a month, you're like, I got to get it. And you're never really living a life. But if I'm getting auditions 3 or 4 times a day, you start to get into a mindset where you play a little bit because you're like, yeah. Like, I want to try something different. I want to try something new because I feel like I have more freedom. I have more flexibility to try new things. If you're only able to write once a month for a couple of hours and it has to feel like a certain way, when you write, you're almost going to be paralyzed because it's like, I've lived so many things. I want to talk about so many things. If I'm only able to dance, right, once a month for an hour, there's so many different levels of expression that I want to be able to get out. But if I'm dancing every day, if I'm writing every day, when the time comes for a big moment, the moment's not going to feel that much bigger than what you've already been doing because the rules of engagement are already the same. So it's the same thing with sports. If you're looking at from basketball is a 10-foot rim. The basketballs for men's basketball are all the same weight, depending on, I guess, from college to the NBA, but it's relatively the same weight. The court size, I think, is 99 feet. Is 99 feet all over the world, right? Rather you're in high school, rather you're in college, rather you're in the NBA, rather I think the EuroLeague might be a little bit smaller, but relatively everything is the same. So if you're practicing every single day, you're practicing with all the tools that ultimately make you a professional anyways. So when it comes time for you to actually be the professional, get paid to do the big thing, the only thing that's really getting in your way at that point is really your mental state because the laws of the universe already exist. It's the same pad, it's the same paper, it's the same whatever writing document it is, it's the same basketball, it's the same everything. Now it becomes about, are you going to have enough energy to continue to finish 4 quarters of the game, right? Because oftentimes what happens is, especially as younger artists, we get so excited in the beginning that we give everything away in the first moment. And now there's nowhere for us to go, right? So you get an audition, it's maybe 4 or 5 pages, and you've peaked in the first paragraph of your dialogue, and there's 4.5 pages left to go. Well, there's nowhere else. The person that's watching you is like, we've seen it. Now you're on 10. There's nowhere else to go. Now it's only going to go down. Same thing for writing. You've written every juicy piece in Act 1, right? You in dance, you've given me the climax in the first thing. You have nowhere to go. Sports is the same way. You spent all of your energy in the first quarter. Now for the second, third, and fourth quarter, you're holding on. You're just playing defense, just hoping that I built a big enough lead in the first quarter that I don't blow it in the end. But you're not really doing anything. And now life can happen. Because what happens if your star player gets injured in the second quarter, the third quarter, the fourth quarter? Now you have no offense. Or your quarterback gets injured, your running back, your wide receiver, whatever. Your laptop blows up. I don't know why your laptop would blow up. Like, that seems like such an extreme example to use, like the laptop blowing up. I don't know. I probably watched something where a laptop blew up. I don't know what I watched, right? But something of that degree. We don't want your laptop to blow up. But like, it crashes. You blow a tire, my ankle injury, whatever it is, right? Then it becomes, so then after that, what do I have? What do I do? What do I do now? What's my value? So I created something and I haven't figured out a way to monetize it and create more value off of it. And that becomes my offense. My defense becomes, I'm just holding on to it. So then when life happens, you can't afford for life to happen. So this becomes part of, in business, that's why businesses are constantly doing M&As. So M&As, mergers and acquisitions, we talk about this all the time. Only 2 things happen in business. Your business is either being acquired or your business is merging with somebody else. So your business is either being sold or you're selling to somebody else. That's it. You're either on defense or on offense. If you're acquiring, then you're on offense. I'm going to get bigger. I know that my company right now is stagnant. We have a lot of money, but we're not building, we're not scaling. So let's go and buy another company. That's what you're seeing right now in television and film with Netflix and Warner Brothers. Netflix is saying, hey, I want to go buy Warner Brothers because I want that library. There's a library that we don't have access to on Netflix. But we as Netflix want to be able to get a higher subscription base, and we want to make sure that our money of what people are paying for every month is going up. But we might have hit a cap as far as content. So what can we do? Well, we have a lot of money. Why not just go buy a company that's for sale that has a lot of content that people like to watch? That's DC. That's all of these other kind of fantastical TV and movie series. So we acquire them. We pay cash. Then we build up our Rolodex. And now we're moving. That's offense. Defense is saying we're just going to hold on to this in hope that we create better content. Is this making sense? Am I making sense? I am? That's good because I don't know if I'm making sense. I'm just saying things. I'm not just saying things, guys. I am highly researched. I do this all the time. The making sense part, I don't know which part I do all the time. But I think that's why for me, somebody that grew up playing sports, as I got deeper into the art, I realized that there's no way to actually build a sustainable career doing this thing unless you're constantly on offense. The moment that you go on defense, I believe that you fail, because I look at defense as I just stopped doing what I'm doing. Like, I don't know how I could take a significant amount of time off, a month off or 2 months off, and just say I need to go take a break, or even 2 weeks or even a week off, because I feel like the global entertainment Rolodex is adapting so rapidly. There's so many opportunities everywhere that if you leave and kind of unplug yourself for a week, when you come back, I'm like, I've missed so much. And there's somebody that's working 18, 19, 20 hours a day. And again, I don't expect anybody to have the same type of manic behavior that I do, but I'm simply making the point that the world is moving at such a rapid pace that when you're a younger artist specifically, I feel like this is the time for you to spend so much energy building that. Because as you get older, like for me, I'm like, okay, I have about 10 more years where I feel like I would realistically want to be traveling back and forth to the U.S. 10 times a year. It's a long time. That's 200,000 miles every year. That would be just traveling to the U.S. That's about 400 hours, 500 hours of flying a year just to the U.S. I'm not going anywhere else. Sitting on a plane, and it doesn't matter whether you're in first class, economy, or where the luggage is. It's still 34,000 feet. It's crazy on the body. But if I can do it now while I'm 24, damn. All right. Wow. Thanks, guys.
It was in agreement.
It was an agreement. And silence did not happen, which means nobody agreed with that. So if I could do it for 10 more years while I'm relatively young, okay, that lands better. That this is the time to maximize it. So yes, are you going to be tired? Yes, of course, but I'm on offense. Defense is me shutting down. Defense is me saying, look, I'm over it. I just don't have it. But what happens when life happens? Something's not going to go wrong. We have this even right now in our own company. We have, gosh, I don't know how many projects, like how many writing projects do you think that we have, like that we actually have, that we have like written, that we realistically right now we could go and actually produce, or people could finance for, like, realistically? I'm making the point. Let's not get into the weeds. 10. Between television film and like reality competition, right? Right. So that's about 10. Okay. So, but with that, okay, so we've written these projects over the last couple of years, and then you pitch these projects, and because of the way that the entertainment industry has been working right now, there's been a lot of contraction. There's been a lot of M&As. Well, what happens again in mergers and acquisitions is that people are doing double jobs. So I no longer need 25 accountants because I already have 12. Not this company. I'm talking about the mergers and acquisitions, right? Companies, right? So what's happening is you really start to get into who's valuable and who's not valuable. And this is where you, as being on offense, is very, very important. Because if you get into a defensive mindset, defense is I'm holding on, hoping that nothing bad happens, waiting for the clock to run out, and hopefully I'm on the other side of it. Offense is I'm continually going to be in a state of creating value, so that if and when something does happen and people are looking around in the boardroom, or executives are having meetings about their team members, they're able to say, who do we keep and who has to go? Who do we encourage to help get another job somewhere else if we're getting bought out? Or who do we encourage for them to be able to work at the company that is currently buying? Or who do we keep if for the company that we are now buying? This is very, very important. This is a very, very important thing. Because if you're on offense and you're always creating value, the moment that there's an opportunity, of course we're going to be thinking about you. Like, oh, this person is always coming up with ideas. They're always solving problems. They're not creating problems for us to solve. They're solving problems. They're identifying things that are happening before. They're looking at trends. They're doing things that are necessarily outside of it. Now, again, am I saying if you're the cameraman that you have to go clean toilet seats? No, that's not what I'm saying, right? Even though for me, I have definitely done that before. And I definitely had moments where I was like, I feel like I'm too good for this. But I wasn't, because I cleaned those damn toilet seats. And y'all are nasty. Not y'all that are here. I'm just saying, like, in general, y'all out there. Anyways, I digress. So what I realized was very early on that part of being in this business of entertainment, that you book a job, it's so much more than just showing up on set and just doing your lines. It's like, how are you working with the writers? How are you working with the directors? How is everyone's experience of you? Because everybody that's on that production at some point in their life will go on to do other projects. The director's this is not their only project. They're not retiring on this project. They're going to go do other things. The writers are going to write on other projects. The casting directors are casting for tremendous amounts of other projects, right? Writers are going to have other writers' rooms where maybe they're junior writers that they might be head writers, and then eventually they're going to have their own rooms that they're going to go into. So how you show up also matters, and the value that you're bringing to you showing up also matters, because it's a difference of, I hire you for this one job. I don't have a good experience of you. Yeah, you do the job, but my experience of you is not good. But now when I want somebody, again, I'm not going to look at you as somebody, as opposed to I'm telling you about another opportunity, why you're at the opportunity that you're already at, because you're rare. Showing up, having value, having a good energy, having a thought process that adds value to the overall production, not saying to myself. Giving ideas and saying, hey, what is there anything else that I can do to help somebody else do their job better? And this is something that oftentimes goes understated, because that's the same thing in sports. That's why we say it's a team game. If in basketball, if you just have a point guard and the point guard's only job is that they just want to pass the ball only to themselves, how could you do that in basketball? I don't know. But if you don't want to pass it to anybody, it's like there's 4 other players on the court. Your job is to be a facilitator, to get everybody else involved. Everybody has a role, and your job is to facilitate everybody doing their role and getting them to their positions. But if your job is, I want it to be all about me, and my defense is, I just want to hold on to this job, well, then when it comes time to getting other opportunities, no one's considering you. And I realized that very early on, because I had a lot of mentors growing up that were tremendous talents. Not good in rooms, not good on set, where people would go, oh, I'll tell you this quick story, quick anecdote. How are we doing on time? Oh, yeah, that's good. Is this the time where I'm supposed to pause for our corporate sponsors? Look, he came in right at the same, why are you coming in? What?
I heard a question about time. You're good. Keep going. It's good stuff.
Don't forget to buy our Bongani cigars. Look at that. Our Bongani cigars. Sam, you'll do a punch-in on our Bongani cigars. Get our Tao wines. Get our Jocka Jock bags. Get the book. Get the Opulent Artist book. I promise you it's a great book. I share so many behind-the-scenes stories, from Yellowstone to sleeping in my car to being evicted, and how we went from that to smoking cigars and drinking wine at 10 o'clock in the morning. That sounds diabolical. But nonetheless, it's a great opportunity for you guys to get not only an insight to the creative space, but also the entrepreneurial space, and also to the global space. And that's why we call it Opulent Entertainment Group. Go Opulent, go global, because we want you to have a global mindset. The days are done where you can be myopic in your thinking. The days are finished where you can just say, oh, well, because I'm in Hollywood, I'm going to be successful. I was just in Hollywood like 48 hours ago, and there's not a lot happening in Hollywood. Mostly everything that's happening in Hollywood is happening from Hollywood productions happening overseas. And so a lot of artists in all avenues are getting left behind because they're not able to pivot. And this is also part of like, how malleable are you? Are you able to pivot? If you're getting stuck in your ways, that's you being on defense, where you're like, well, I'm here. I finally got to Hollywood. And it's like, now you're in Hollywood and Hollywood's gone. And now you're still in Hollywood. And so it's like, so are you going to stay? Are you going to go? What are you going to do? So the Opulent Artist book, essentially taking the starving out of starving artists, which is really the tag, but it's building a global brand from anywhere in the world, is about how you can begin to do that from exactly where you are right now, right? Rather you are, I'm tempted to say, in the country of Africa, or if you are, that's an inside joke, guys. Obviously, I know that there's 54 countries on the continent of Africa. I was just talking about an experience that I had when somebody said that their family member lived in the country of Africa. And then I asked them, well, what country? And they said, Africa. And I was like, oh yeah, you're right. Silly me. I failed geography. Anyways, back to our regular scheduled programming. Get our products, get our merchandise. Oh yeah, we have our dope merch. And we also have new baby Ds. We have new baby Ds that are coming out That's super exciting. We have Cowboy Baby D. We have horse riding Baby D. We also have Tribal Baby D. Have you seen Tribal Baby D? You have to see Tribal Baby D. Tribal Baby D is diabolical. You guys will love Tribal Baby D. We're leveling up this year. We're going crazy. Or I'm going crazy, and I'm forcing everyone to go crazy with me. That's what it's like to be in a loony bin. We're all just gonna lose it together. All right, we're back. Meanwhile, we have someone over here who's like, why did I come? I have so many other things that she's like, I have so many other things that she could be doing. And now you're here in the insane asylum that we call Opulent. Go Opulent, go global, am I right? Did anyone do any reading? Did anyone read over the break? Yeah, no one read. Huh? You attempted to read? I attempted to get out of bed today. I had to make a choice. I either got up or I didn't. So you didn't read? All right, guys. I get it. Yeah, we're all working. I get it. It's tough life. Anyways, back to what we were talking about, or what I was talking about. You guys are just listening. You guys have any questions? Because I have 25 minutes left in this podcast before the network comes in. I think you guys should petition us and say Denham should be able to speak for as long as he wants. On all levels, it's a bad idea. To give me an unlimited battery for the camera and energy, eventually it's going to fly off the rails completely, and I'm going to start saying things I have no business saying. This is exactly what happened in the meet and greet, by the way. The first hour ran so smoothly. It was so great. So for you guys out there, I was in New Mexico like 4 days ago, and we were doing this meet and greet with for Yellowstone, and we had like 500, 600, 700 people. I don't remember. There's a lot of people because I think it was for like New Year's Eve. It was the 31st. It was New Year's Eve, and it was crazy. And anyways, the first hour of the meet and greet was super easy. You just come, you sign pictures. They take a photo, you sign their thing, and then you kind of keep it pushing. But like, I'm kind of big on bits. I'm a big bit guy, not Bitcoin guy. Like I probably should be. I should be a big Bitcoin guy, but I'm a big bit guy. Can we make that a meme coin? Can Ole make a Baby D meme coin? Let's do that, guys. Every time I get on this mic, I think of gold. Can we do? Where is he? Marketing. I have a thought. I had a thought. Because I thought about the fact that I'm a big bit guy because I like bits. Like I'm doing right now is a bit, right? So like bit, but not Bitcoin. And then I thought, can we do a Baby D meme coin? Is that possible? Can we sell Baby D meme coins?
So who he allowed him?
Allowed is diabolical.
Did you say allowed?
I think we're on to something. Can we do a Baby D bit meme coin? Because I'm big on bits.
Please don't say it like that.
It will take time.
How much time? Like by the end of this podcast?
When this airs,
Will this be? We'll be by the end of this podcast. We'll be launching our Baby D meme coin in response to bits, not to be confused with Bitcoin. How many more times should I say that before Bitcoin reaches out and wants to sponsor me? All right, guys, look at this. This is just gold, guys. We're all blessed. Whew, my brain. Facts. Oh yeah, this is definitely that. But I think this will be great to have a Baby D meme coin. I'd buy it. But that's kind of counterproductive, right? Because I'm spending my money to make the money. That's called marketing. It's called market buyback. That's what companies do. So when your shares, did you guys know that? Yeah, it's called buybacks, where companies buy back their own shares. Yeah, you should check it out. It's an interesting thing. Yeah, occasionally I say something very intelligent. Yeah, when I'm reading or when I'm attempting to read. Anyways, that's what, wait, it was Rich Dad. I was getting ready to quote Rich Dad, Poor Dad. That's what I was getting ready to quote Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Guys, remember 15 minutes ago when I was in a spiral? Now, I don't remember why I was getting ready to quote Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I just remembered that's what I was getting ready to do. We're on to something. I just need about 3.5 more hours to tease this thing out. And then eventually I'm going to get to why we were talking about this. But I was talking about Rich Dad. And funny thing is, before I left my office in LA, I was holding the Rich Dad, Poor Dad book. And I realized that my old dog had ripped out pages of the book because it was trying to learn how to be wealthy. And I didn't bring it. And I know that no one cares. But I thought about bringing it and sharing it with you guys so that you guys could look at it on this bookshelf and just nod your head whenever I ask you if you've read any of the books that are on the bookshelf. Yeah. I'm doing the bit. Well, I'm back on bits. Not to be confused with Bitcoin. Baby D meme coins are coming out soon. That's going to be our premium thing. We're going to jack that thing to what do the crypto people say on the Discord? To the moon? Yeah. Guys, I can't say I'm in the street. It's not to say I'm on the street. What's the good way? I'm on the street. Because I guess if you say you're in the streets, that's bad. But if I say that I'm on the street, that's fine. That's fine. So I'm on the street. That's why I know what the Discord is. I used to have a Discord for chess. Do you guys know that I play chess?
So many layers.
Just an onion. Gosh, I really wanted to give. Okay, anyways. So back to the defense. So anyways, biggest thing that I will constantly hammer is it's a value proposition. So you as an artist, no matter what you're doing, you have to figure out a way to continue to leverage what it is that you're doing as a hedge for anything bad to happen. I would rather outscore an opponent than hang on to a couple of points because then nothing can happen. And then I can never sub out, which means I can never take a break. Because if you're like, I'm going to score one goal in a football game, if I only score one goal and then for the rest of the game, I'm just holding on. Now you can do that in maybe with like a minute left or 30 seconds left, you're just holding on, whatever. But you can't do that for the whole game. And most people do that for their entire lives. They do one good, big, major thing, and then the rest of their life, they hang on to the one thing that they did for the rest of their life. That's defense. And they hope that they get lucky enough to continue to monetize that one thing instead of leveraging that one thing into multiple revenues, into multiple opportunities. And most people will say, well, I don't have a passion for these other businesses, right? Whatever it means. It does. I'm not even saying the businesses that we're doing, but they might just say it in general. But I don't want to do anything outside of that. And then the question then begs, well, who told you that you got to just do whatever you wanted to do? Like everything that you're doing is the thing that you have to love doing. You do it because it's part of the game that you're playing. And it was the same thing that these two sisters were talking about. When she was talking after the mental health thing, she was saying like, but her exact words were this. I wonder if they'll listen to this podcast and message me and say, were we talking about us? And I'm going to say, no, I'm going to lie. Well, actually, if they're watching the podcast, then they would know that I'm lying. Sam, somebody stop me from myself. Anyways, I'm not lying. I'm talking about somebody else. Anyways. So she goes, yeah, but even if I agree with all the things that you're saying, don't you think that it's toxic? And I was like, what? That type of work ethic, that 24-hour economy. Oh, that because we were talking about the fact of like how, entertainment, Hollywood, Nigeria, places in Asia and things like that are a 24-hour economy. And in like sub-Saharan Africa, like everybody like checks out at 5 p.m. Or in certain countries, like maybe even here in Botswana, like 3 p.m. 3 p.m. people are like, it's been a day. got 2 more hours. We'll just kind of mail it in. And you're like, but we still have so much more work to do. And they're like, do we? We were not colonized by the French. So you guys will get that. I'm not going to give it to you. You guys will have to get it yourselves. The network is on a delay. Anyways. And so she goes, don't you think that, the 24-hour economy and working all the time is toxic? And I was like, mm-hmm. And she's like, wait, what? I was like, yeah, I agree with you. It is toxic. It's highly toxic. And now what? Now that I agree that it's toxic, now what do we do? Because the world's not going to stop because Denim thinks that it's toxic. Or because Denim has an opinion that it should be done another way. Okay, it should be done another way, but it's not. So now what do? I just sit back, don't do anything, and then I say, hey, well, the reason why I'm not going to go and do more and push for more is because the world is toxic. And then the world just keeps going, and you just sit there. And this goes back to my whole thing about the writer being happy, right? It's the whole thing. And again, you, of course, there's a level of wanting to and hoping to get the opportunity to do all the things that you love, but you can't do all the things that you love all the time, right? Like that's not part of the way that any world works. Not even in fantasy books or movies does everything great happen all the time, because that's not reality in any universe. But in our weird mind universe, we create this fake narrative that doesn't exist anywhere else, even in fantasy books, that we should only be doing things that we enjoy all the time. And then if we're not doing that, we're going to sit at home and wait for somebody to come and knock on our door to give us the opportunity that we're not working for. Because therefore we deserve it because we have gone through so much. As if you have a copyright on things bad happening to you. And this is part of the larger conversation when I talk about the offense. It's like getting into the game. And I'm going to begin to prompt what the next podcast is, which is The Man in the Arena. Because the man in the arena, I read the quote the other day on the plane before I was logging out. I was never logging out. There was no Wi-Fi on the plane. Anyways, we'll have a conversation. I won't talk about what airline that was. And I won't, because I still want you guys to accept me. And I want to be a VIP on that airline. Anyways, call me. Anyways, the man in the arena. Should I read the quote? I'm going to read the quote. I'm going to read it again, but it's like one of my favorite. My phone case is falling apart. No one encouraged me to buy another phone case. People don't. Yeah. I wasn't reminded. Okay, I have to type. I got to type it. I have to do this. Let's just type it in. You guys will bear with me. It's one of my, and it's so funny because I'm usually very, what's the diplomatic way of saying this? I'm very cognizant about the people that I quote, because sometimes the people that have quotes that I like, I've studied them and I'm like, overall, I don't support anything that you're saying, but it makes sense. And I'm not saying that is this, but I'm also not saying that it is this. I'm just hedging. Man, what is it, man in the... Yeah, this is one of my favorite quotes. I can't wait to read it. Where is it? Here you go, man in the... Here it is. All right. Are we ready? As if you guys have a choice. Where else can you go? You're trapped. We should do a 24-hour stream. That would be... I don't know. Do we have a Twitch account yet? No. Okay, so 24-hour streaming is on the way. Gosh, could you imagine me for 24 hours? Oh my gosh. Awkward. Okay. Man in the arena. It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles or where the doer of the deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred with dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs and comes up short again and again, because there is no effort without error and shortcomings. But who does actually strive to do the deeds, who knows the great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of a high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who know neither victory nor defeat. It's deep. It's deep. I think, what is that, Roosevelt? Yeah, Theodore Roosevelt. Man in the arena, get in the game. And this is part of the offense, right? Because oftentimes defense becomes the thing that everybody can do to a certain degree, right? Like if you're really good, or I mean, not really good, but if you just have a little bit of diligency, you can save money. I can just put it in a savings account. I'm just going to put it there and leave it for a rainy day. But the money's not working for you, right? So you're putting it into a savings account, and then you're like, oh, look I'm saving money. I'm good, sweet, and smart. This is my defense for a rainy day. But then inflation is going up 6% every year. So that means that your money is devaluing, right? So I put it into a savings. So I've done the right thing. I've worked. I've put my money into a savings account, and every month I save. Right? Everybody knows it. We all know this, right? We all know this. To some leveling degree, doesn't matter what your level of education is, somebody somewhere told you about savings, right? Have a savings account, save. But nobody ever says simultaneously that inflation goes up 6% every year, which means that if your money's not outperforming inflation, then it's devaluing. So you're not saving, you're losing. Slowly, but you're losing. You're going backwards. You're on defense. And as I said, that's what happens on defense. Eventually, it takes so much more energy to hold on than it does just to build momentum and go forward. So everybody, to a larger degree, can save. Now take those very same people that can save and tell them, go and start to invest. Now go start taking that money that you've now gone and worked for and start going investing it in things. That's where you're going to start to get the problem. But what happens if the company, what happens if I can't get my money? What happens if and what happens? Fear, nothing but fear happens for everybody that has that mindset. But nobody is concerned about, well, what happens if you have 6% inflation every single year? When that's a fact. It's a fact that happens. It's not a fact that every time that you invest money, you're going to lose money. Now, it does mean that it's possible, but that's where diversification comes in. But then the question I would ask you is then, what side of the coin would you rather be on? Would you rather save, hold on for a rainy day, or would you rather say, I want to take this and I want to diversify the money? Well, the smarter person probably would pick the latter or the former. I don't know which one I said first or the second. Doesn't matter, guys. Hopefully somebody's paying attention. I'm going to burn through all of my sticks. The problem is when I'm talking by myself, I don't smoke the cigar for as long, and then I burn through all my matchsticks. And then I don't look cool when I'm... Thank you. I have half of a side of my brain is working today, and it doesn't live in my body, apparently. All right. No, she's on my left side. Oh, yeah. So this is why I keep saying that you have to go on offense. So in entertainment, so what is this? So let's bring it home. As we're rounding the corner, as they would say in track and field, just track, because you wouldn't round the corner in field. Anyways, guys, let's not get into the weeds. Guys, we get it. We knew what I was saying. I'm going to smoke this cigar, and you're going to watch me do it. There's something so tranquil about them. Did you guys know that somebody made? Ollie's gonna kill me, but I'm actually serious. Not really serious, but I am. Do you know that somebody made $1 million on YouTube from posting the fireplace on for 24 hours? Like, you know, the crackling sound that a fireplace makes? That somebody did that, and they did like a 24-hour thing, and they recorded it, and they made $1 million. Yeah, of just a fireplace on YouTube, right? So the reason why I'm saying that is, do you think that if we do something where I'm like, that would be like soothing? Would that make somebody feel like I'm like somebody's grandfather?
ASMR. It's a market.
Yeah, right. I think I like that. There's a market. There's a market for everything, right? There's a market for like dog paws.
Yes, there is.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
What? I've already done the publish. I already published it yesterday. Oh, okay. Well, you're coming into my podcast talking about what you're doing. Okay, network. Thanks. Back to my podcast. I was trying to throw podcast in there, but it wasn't working. My brain was not functioning at a high level. Anyways, we're back. What was I talking about? There's a market for dog paws. They call them what? I was so joking about this. I didn't know it was a real thing. Is this a real thing? What is it?
yeah, but there's dogs in there. Actually, the cats are more popular.
But what is it?
It's just people obsessing over paws.
All right, guys. If I can't get... here's my thing. If I don't have over 10,000 subscribers on this Patreon for giving you guys great content, then I'm just going to get into paws. Then I'm just selling out to just getting into like the weird stuff. You know what I'm saying? Because I can't keep playing this game where I'm trying to give educational, juicy content, and then I'm hearing that cat paws are widely popular. How does cat paws make anybody money? I guess there's a market. All right, so let's make a thing where that will sound like something. All right. Yeah. We'll make it like I don't know what it'll be. We'll talk about it. So rounding the corner, as they say. Who is they? When people say that, they never say who they is. You know what I mean? You guys realize that? I'm doing it very intentionally. Like, when will he round the corner? He keeps saying he's rounding it, but he never rounds. He just goes straight. It's like a square. You guys will follow. I'm rounding into rare form, doing my bits. Not to be confused with Bitcoin. Anyways, we're back. All right, guys, settle down. So how do we parlay this into the entertainment space? No matter what career endeavor that you're in, the goal is get in, learn everything it is about not only what you're doing, but meet as many people that are doing things at a higher level or where you want to be. And then learn about what other things that they're doing. It wasn't until you start asking questions. Sometimes as artists, we're very, very narcissistic, and all we want to do is talk about what we do. But if you leave space for somebody else to talk about what they're doing, they might share something that you didn't even know you could monetize, right? You never even knew, like cat paws, right? Well, great. That's something you can monetize. Maybe you put your face on them. I don't know how it works. I'm just throwing things out there. But the point that I'm making is that when you start to talk and interrogate, you'll find that many artists, mostly all of your athletes, are diversified into other things outside of just the one thing that they're known for. But that one thing becomes the impetus for all the other things. It becomes the tree. So that if something does happen, or when retirement happens, or early retirements, family emergencies, you name it, they have other revenues. They have other streams. The ones who didn't do that are the ones that all go broke within 3 to 5 years of retirement, because they thought that the gravy train was going to last forever. They thought that, in the Hollywood term, that the champagne would always flow. Do you guys know where that term comes from? I think it comes from like the roaring. Was it the is it the Roaring Twenties? Is it the Roaring Twenties? Yeah, where the Roaring Twenties, where they were having. When was Prohibition? Yeah. So yeah, something like that, where the champagne, they thought that the champagne was always going to be flowing, that there would be a never-ending supply of champagne until it stopped flowing. And then they're like, now what do? We haven't planted any new grapes. All we've been doing is drinking champagne. And nobody ever stopped to go, hey, should we plant something on the off chance that this, but they're like, nonsense. Right? And they're like, just drink up. And then it wasn't. And that's oftentimes what we're like as artists. You're like, oh, this will just last forever. I'll always be able to do this. I'll always be on a hit show. I'll always have 4 national commercials out. I'll always be in this amount of rooms. I'll always be on a tour. I'll always be doing this. And then it's like until one day you're not. And then you realize because it's a team sport, you realize that there's other mitigating circumstances and factors that will impact you directly that you didn't have anything to do with. Right? Because oftentimes as artists, we become, again, very myopic in the way that we think and very narcissistic, thinking that it's just about us. And we don't realize that we are also accountable to other things that are happening outside of our purview, because we never make it a point to learn anything outside of what we're already doing. So when they're saying, hey, we're canceling the show, you're like, huh? You can't do that. And it's like, no, we can cancel the show. We're a network. We can do whatever we want. But I had, we don't care about your plans. We're canceling the show, right? Oh, you're fired, or you're this or that, whatever. It doesn't matter. So what did you do while you were in there? So if you treat everything as though this is going to end, and you learn how to leverage. That's why here at OPEG, I'm very, very big about, okay, guys, how do we start creating these different tranches for everybody, right? So that everybody doesn't feel like, oh my gosh, if this thing doesn't happen. We've pivoted in our company. That was what I was talking about. From the very beginning, I'm back. That was what I was talking about the pivot, about what our need to having to pivot, otherwise we weren't going to be successful. And nobody helped me out. I had to do it all by myself. I am good, sweet, and smart. Mm-hmm. Baby D, meme coins are dropping in. How long do we have for this podcast?
We're 2 minutes over.
Okay, we're 2 minutes over, which means our meme coins are live, baby. Are they live? They're not live. Don't lie to the people.
They will be by the time this drops.
No, that's not true, because I want this podcast coming out now. Now is relative to my experience. And my experience is now.
Correct.
Okay. What was I doing? Oh, yeah. Pivot. We're back. Thanks, network. So we have pivoted so many times in this company in the last 3 years because we've had to. We had, as they were saying 45 minutes ago, that we had 10 projects already written, and we have probably, I think it's actually, I know what we have like pitch decks for. I know we have like 32 pitch decks from competition series, reality series, TV, dramedy, rom-coms, and then movies, right? And so with multiple different genres in 30 to 32 different pitch decks. And probably even more than probably at least half of those already have scripts or at least treatments for those, right? And for a while, that's what we were doing because companies were like, hey, we need things. We need stuff. Do you have stuff? And we're like, here's stuff. And then when we gave them stuff, they're like, we're now being merged or acquired by somebody else who doesn't need stuff or who doesn't have the same budget for new stuff. So now we don't want original content anymore. We want existing IP. Well, now imagine people in the company are looking at me like, like I did it, right? Like I come back and I'm like, hey guys, surprise. We get to do something different. Like we don't want to do something different. You think I want to do something different? You think that I don't want to utilize the things that we've already have? You think I want to create new things? But what's the other thing? Then we have to shut down. then that becomes the thing. The thing becomes, okay, then we all have to shut down. We can't do anything. Or we can pivot and find the trends and go after the trends and get on offense, which means that we have to be in the game, which means that you have to have people that are like, hey, what's hot right now? Hey, what's happening in the world? Hey, are you looking at businesses? Are you reading business articles? Are you reading business books? Figure out how to leverage the more, figure out how to create more value. So we've had to pivot 4 or 5 times, creating different mechanisms. Out of this same pivot is how Dining with Diamonds even came into the fray, because we're like, we're not able to shoot anything right now while we're waiting for all these other projects to get greenlit. So what are we going to do? Well, we can't just sit here and do nothing. I mean, we could, but I'm not going to pay for it, right? You're going to take money out of my wine budget? This sounds diabolical. I sound like Marie Antoinette. At least she let them eat cake. There's other dictators that would never let people eat anything. It's a bright side to everything, guys. Like my wine glass being halfway closer to me getting to fill it up again. You didn't see that coming. All right. So as we finish, do you guys have any questions? What's up? It's a great question. Huh? What do you say? Facts. Yeah. Honestly, it's what? Oh, okay. It's a great question. The honest answer, I'll give you the honest answer, the honest way that I can. I have a tremendous fear of failure. I'm terrified of failure. Like, I'm terrified of it. Like, even right now, as I say it, like inside, I'm like, it keeps me up at night. And so I do and operate at the clip that I do because I'm terrified of failing. And I'm terrified of letting other people down. It terrifies me. So I go, if I just keep going and I keep innovating and I keep building something, eventually something will work. I don't have a deadline. The only deadline is when I have no air in my lungs, and hopefully that's nowhere soon. But I just don't know. I could never just rest and feel like, okay, so I was successful, but what about everybody else? And it goes back to like the core principles of one of the things we talked about is like, how do you define success? And I talked about in a video that we'll eventually post that, you know, when I was early on in my career, my success was like how many things I can do for myself, like how many experiences can I have? And now it's like how many people around me are successful, because like I want everybody to feel like they can do things and be capacitated. And it's not about, oh my gosh, oh, you're so great. It's not about that. It's literally a personality thing. Not everybody has it, because you have to be self-determined, and you have to be able to do it when no one's looking, and you have to do it when you don't want to do it, and you have to do it when everybody's telling you to stop doing it, and you have to do it when your own body's telling you to stop doing it, and your own brain and everything, and you have to just keep doing it. And I don't do a lot of things because I want to do them. I do them because I was like called to do it, right? So at a deeper level, it becomes like if I don't do it, then I feel like I have no purpose. Then what's my purpose? So that I can like share, like here are the fun things that I'm doing. But the reality of it is like, yeah, but I don't want to experience those things by myself. You know what I'm saying? So that's what sustains me. And so it's like, I want everyone to be successful. I want everyone to be successful that wants to do work. I don't want anybody that wants to be successful, at least around me, that's not interested in doing the work, because I know how much sacrifice it takes to be able to do it. And I know that the people that I've followed, whether you're looking at their, biographies or their autobiographies or documentaries or speaking to them in person, you realize the amount of sacrifice that they've had to put in and what they've lost in the pursuit of something far greater than them. And that's also the hard part about interpersonal relationships at the same time, right? Because oftentimes when you're, when you're doing things, when you start to really crystallize what it is that you want to do, And you really can say, I think, well, we talked about it a week ago, where I think I told Network, I feel like for the first time in 3 years, I feel like we finally have a through line. That's why I'm like bug-eyed all the time. Because I was like, oh, it feels like not everything's a once-off thing, where I feel like we're doing so many things to just get us to another 3 months, get us to another 4 months. And then the hope is that these other things that we have going on over here, by the time we've distracted ourselves with a new thing, by the time we get there, this thing would have happened. And then like you're doing, and then it's like, but that's not sustainable. Now I feel like, oh, we created something, like this is sustainable, right? For as long as I have mania, for as long as I have mania and cigars. Can I give you guys an interesting stat? Like, what are you going to say no? And I'm going to say it anyways. It just makes me want to say it more.
No.
This is driving me crazy. I do not like it. I'm not going to burn through all of my, what you will call it. Time to bring out the big guns. My essential oils. I'm just kidding. Where is it? Wait. But no, it's an interesting factoid, and then we'll wrap up. There it is, my big gun.
Don't burn anything.
Hmm?
Don't burn the cord.
Not gonna burn the cord. It's not my first day lighting a cigar. Let's get right to the point. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you want to tender it. Other times you're like, dude, can we just, come on. We know we're going to light. We know we're smoking it. Let's go. Right? Anyways, fun fact about cigars. Do you know that there was an FDA study, a Federal Drug and Administration study, that said that if you smoke, this is a Federal Drug Administration study about cigars. That's where the United States, that's where the Federal Drug and Administration is, Ryan. To call him by his government name because that's where he's from. So I have to remind him that, yes, you would be very familiar with the FDA because, yes. Anyways, they did a study on cigars, and you guys hate me and I love it, but everyone missed me. Anyways, they said that if you smoke 3 cigars a day, right? 3 cigars a day. It's not that much, but it's a lot, but it's not that much. There's people like back in the 70s and 80s that were smoking like 10 cigars a day. It's like, it's just incessant. Anyways, so they did a study that said if you smoke 3 cigars a day, that your mortality rate goes up. Anybody want to take a guess how wild this is? Take a guess. The percentage wise, like your chance of mortality rate goes up, whatever.
I'm gonna say
20%, 25%, 50, 10%. So FDA crazy. If you smoke 3 cigars a day, your chance of mortality goes up 1%.
I feel dated.
So, don't feel guilty buying our Bogani cigars. Enjoy them. Smoke them. You don't have to smoke 3 a day. I'm just giving you an example for those that are like, oh, but is it healthy? I'm like, well, I think it's fine. Like, I'm probably the person, not to get morbid, but like, I'm probably the person that like slips in my bathtub and dies. You know what I mean? Like, it's not going to ever be like, it will never be like the wine or like I'll have like a stroke, right? It'll have to be like I was playing football with a bar of soap in the shower because I wanted to test my hand skills, and I like throw it up in the thing and then I drop it and I hit my head trying to catch it. It'll be something stupid like that, right? So don't ever be concerned about the cigars. Be concerned about my desire to hang on to my athleticism, because that's probably what's going to kill me. Should retire early. Anyways, I think that's the end of the... Did I answer your question? Sustainability? All right, mania. Have more mania. Be a maniac. Be obsessed. Did you have a question? Oh, okay. No. Network, did you have a question? No? Did you have a question?
So how many do you smoke a day?
I probably smoke 2. Depends on the day. Sometimes I'll have 1. Yesterday I smoked 2. The day before I didn't smoke any. I also had like months where I didn't smoke any cigars. It was actually when we were doing Dining with Diamonds. I retired from smoking cigars for Dining with Diamonds for 3 months or 2 months so I could get my voice right. And then I realized it has no effect on my voice. So I was just torturing myself for no reason.
Going on and on about, I miss having a cigar.
I do. It was like, that's all I wanted. Like life was not as easy. It's interesting because it just is my pacifier. And life is so much more tolerable when I can smoke this cigar. After this, I feel like I'm like naked and afraid. Have you guys ever watched that series? Naked and Afraid? It's diabolical. Have we gone off the rails? This is extra content. Is this extra content? We'll have to say bye to the people before we get to extra content.
You have to do your unapologetic take before you do.
Oh yeah. Do we all have unapologetic takes? Did we do last time? Was everybody having an unapologetic, or is it just me? Oh, okay. You see? Look at this. At least someone's paying attention. Network. He's over here freaking scratching his arm. Like what? Like that has to, like he's like a baseball sign as if that means something. All right. Okay. Is it me first or do you guys go first and then I go? Okay. Well, no. Now you have an opinion. Okay. Go ahead, left side. What's your unapologetic take?
Like this.
That's fine. Yeah, it's only in that voice. If you do only that voice, that's the only way we're gonna. That's the only way we're gonna do it. Yeah. The mic can only pick you up if you do it in that voice. All right, what's your unapologetic take?
I think I enjoy being crazy.
I like that unapologetic take.
Yeah.
Be unapologetic.
Yeah, because then you can do crazy things and you don't have to explain to anyone why you're doing it.
Because we've already widely accepted the fact that, well, I'm crazy.
Yeah.
And actually, if you think about it, it's actually true, right? Like if somebody's in like an insane asylum and they come out and they like run through the streets naked, right? Am I allowed to say this? I'm really treating him like the network. Am I allowed to say this? I remember when I was 16, I used to streak all the time. That's diabolical.
Why?
I don't know. It was like a weird.
It's like people seeing you naked.
No, maybe, but it was something. No, it was weird. I was 16. I don't know what it was like. This thing where it was like I would do it at night, where it's like, and I'd run around the neighborhood, and it was like the whole thing of like what happens if I get caught? Yeah, it's the experience. So I've been so being crazy. It's kind of like, yeah, I don't know how to help you, right? So at least if we identify it's a label, and in this generation, y'all love labels. So unapologetically crazy. We should change the name of your brand
Oh my god.
to, I don't know. We'll figure it out. By the time I get around, I've thought of a name. Network.
Your understanding is not required.
What does that mean?
Is that whatever it is that I understand and it makes sense to me, I don't owe other people an explanation so that it can make sense to them.
Okay, got it. So you have to be unapologetic. I said what I said. And whether or not you understand it fully, and this is obviously in relationship to more interpersonal things, not as much in business because you want people to be able to understand what it is that they're doing. But if they say like, well, I don't agree with this or this on the third, that part of it is not required. I said what I said. Did we come up with a nickname for you yet? Damn. No, not cameraman. That doesn't.
Doesn't feel right.
No, it feels too. Yeah, like it feels not big. Big. No, I want something. It feels not big. It feels like I want something like choppy. Not to be confused with choppies. right? Choppy, you know what I mean? Because it's like you edit. I don't know. That was about the end of that. I don't know. Clean up. 911. 911. We'll call you 911 because technically he can change the entire outcome of everything that I'm saying. And he can also clean it up very quickly. I'm like, hey, I shouldn't have said that. And it's like, I'll just edit it out. 911. I like that. 911. Oh, no, what would it be here? 611? 411? 999. Flip it upside down. That's 666, which is weird. But we'll get into that on a dark podcast where I talk about numerology. Bet you didn't know I knew anything about that. But I do. Layers, baby. All right. 911 or 999. What do you got? I know 911's better, isn't it? I think 911's better, and it takes you more global. Go opulent, go global.
Fall as you keep falling forward.
Yeah, fall forward. Fall forward, right? Because at least you're going forward. Yeah. Because, it's a funny thing is if you fall forward as opposed to falling backwards, if you have people there, when you fall backwards, you take them with you. And then even if you eventually come out of it, they resent you because they had to go backwards with you. But at least if you fall forward, they can support you because you at least know that you wanted to go somewhere. That's deep. Damn, Denim. Even sometimes I get me. It's a cigar. I promise you guys, it's not me. It's Bongani and Bongani only. First of all, don't rush me when I'm doing my plugs for the people that are paying for the podcast. Networks. This is why they're all getting merged and acquired. Because of terrestrial thinking at the top. All right. Whatever you're unapologetic about. A bat. What's a bat? A boot. A boot. Where did that even come from? Like now I'm a Canadian French? Like what does that even have? Whatever a boot. What is a boot? So is it a boot or a boat? A boat. Or a bode. It's a boot. A boot. It's going to be a good year. What's going to be good about it? You're redacting? You're redacting your statement?
What's good about it is reactive. Is that what you're saying?
But you don't want to say why it's going to be good? Why? You have to be unapologetic. That's the whole point of being unapologetic. Yeah. I'm saying I'm going to say the things that I'm not going to apologize for that which I'm saying. Because it is. So you don't have to say all of it. I'm just saying, it's too vague. It's going to be a good year. Okay, she has a feeling. Tonight's going to be a good night. What song is that from? You don't have the specifics? Are you waiting for further intel from the CIA? You're waiting for the CIA to come in and give you intel about the further specifics? You're going off feelings? I have a really interesting story that I really wanted to share, but I was told that I can't share it, otherwise it won't happen.
Share it in the extended version. Say goodbye and let's share it in the extended.
But I don't know that I can share it, period. Because I'm terrified that if I share it, it doesn't happen. But no, the person legitimately told me, I'm going to tell you something. And if you say anything about it, it's not going to happen. So of course, naturally, so naturally, the first thing that I did after it happened, I was in Hong Kong. It just happened. So naturally, I'm in Hong Kong. Oh my gosh, guys, it was the craziest experience. But I don't know. And the problem is he didn't specify about like how much of it can I share. If I say anything, does it mean that it doesn't happen? If I share like the specific things, does it mean it's going to happen? So I'm kind of like in a tailspin because I want to tell somebody because
Isn't you telling us that there is something to be told?
No, because I'm not even close to anything. But it was like, so naturally he says, you can't say anything. So naturally I got on my phone and started recording exactly what happened so that I could send it to Ole to be like, oh my gosh, guys, I'm shook. And then I was sat there and I thought, because I was shook. I was legitimately, okay, can I just tell the story here?
Let's tell it in the extended podcast. Let's take about
I said, okay, all right, guys. So my unapologetic take is be obsessed. Be obsessed. Whatever it is that you're trying to go after, be obsessed with it. Obviously, you want it to be for your benefit. Like, don't be obsessed doing drugs, right? Like, let's like reel it in, guys. That's awkward. Yeah. Don't be, yeah. Like, we're not, and again, I don't want to be like predatory, things like that. I'm just saying be obsessed. Be obsessed with the work ethic. Be obsessed with the things that you want. Be obsessed with all of those things, right? Because the more obsessed that you are, the better it is that you guys to get to your outcome. So my thing is be unapologetic this year about going after the things that you truly want, and don't be concerned about what everybody else around you is saying about what it is that you want. That's my Unapologetic podcast. All right, guys. Don't forget to, I don't know if you like, share, and subscribe on this. Feels like a YouTube thing, but share the podcast. We have more coming out. Make sure you get our great projects. We also have projects. I'm from the project, not the projects, not to be confused with project. Don't forget our meme coins for my bits. Baby D meme coins are dropping soon. I'm super excited about that. Baby D meme coins going to the moon, as they say on the Discord. Buy our Bongani cigars, link, the Jock and Jock bags, the Tao wines, the merchandise, Baby D merchandise, Baby D merch. Definitely get the Tribal Baby D. I think that's probably one of my favorites. Tribal Baby D is super dope. All right, guys. This is the Unapologetic Podcast, where we are here to forge, destroy, and kill the way that you look at the business of entertainment. Until next time, I'm Denham Richards. Deuce. I don't remember if I was searching for alcohol or cigars. I don't remember which one it was. I think it had to, no, it was cigars. Because I was sitting there and I was talking around and I was like, I don't know that I can go again. I just can't make it 2 days without having a cigar. And I was like, I know I have to have a cigar somewhere in this freaking house. So I started going through all the things. And then magically I pull out, I was like, oh, maybe it's in this bag. And then in this bag, the microphones, all of the things, Pandora's box opened up. And I said, you see, my addictions do have value. And that's when I was encouraged to continue to, that's when my encouragement kept going. Thank you. And then, is there a world that exists where I can just get hot water?
Yeah, we just actually heated some up.
Oh, okay, thanks.
Actually, this goes away.
Yeah, it's fine. Just put it there.
Usually the-
It's just here. Yeah.
Is this a prop? What is
Yeah, it's Kelvin.
Yes, it's Kelvin.
Kelvin.
And it's also put it higher.
It's also-
So we decided today.
so we can see the Jolly John.
Yeah.
We decided today that we
We're gonna-
replace
You got
the
fired, so
bag.
this is the
Yeah.
This is Calvin's
No, put it on the
replacement.
Well, in order, we had to.
Can you put it on the armrests? Because it doesn't top.
Yeah. See.
Damn it, it doesn't. Okay. Yeah, it doesn't.
The gag that I'm going to use is that in order for us to get these microphones, we had to cut a salary.
Which is Calvin.
And Kelvin was the first person on the chopping block so that we could have these mics. So that's going to be the gag for this.
Kevin's at home babysitting.
No, I said that the whole gag for this bag is that in order for us to get these microphones, right? You're not even listening to the gag.
Sorry, go
That in order to get these microphones, we had to cut a salary, and so Kelvin naturally was the reason why. Yeah, so we had this bag instead. And if we can get large enough sponsors, then we're good. Okay. So, what are you doing? I'm doing my after thing. So,
I just want to move because more people are coming in.
so.
It's coming in.
What's up? So, super crazy. So, I'm in Hong Kong, right? I'm not going to tell the story. I'm going to tell the story about the story that I can't tell. Because I'm terrified, again, about if I say it, it won't happen. And I really want it to happen. And so, it's like amazing. So, okay, so...
It happens. Make sure you tell us.
Yeah, what?
But then the question then becomes, and here's the problem. This is how he got me. The problem is then, if the things start to happen, do I say it? Do they stop happening?
You have to wait till it's done.
No, but I don't know. He said there was no end. Like there wasn't like an end. It was just like, oh my gosh, these things are, and I was like, great. But,
Maybe we should have a signal.
No, there's no signal.
so then the problem then becomes, is it like a deathbed? It's like a deathbed confession at the end? But,
So far.
but then, facts. But then anyways, okay. So I'm walking through, I'm walking through, gosh, well, I can't remember the exact name, but essentially this garden, where they have, a museum, this, that, and the third. They have museums. They have like outdoor anime museum. Then they had, what else did they have? All this stuff, right? Whatever. Anyways, so I'm trying to find the art gallery, the specific art gallery, the cultural center. I was trying to find the Hong Kong Cultural Center, and it was somewhere in this massive kind of park. It's a park, right? So I gone to all these other places, anyways. So I'm looking at this map, and I come back, and this guy walks over to me, and he goes, he comes over to me, and he's hi, and I was like, what's up, right? And then he starts, he says something along, he starts saying, he was like, you're really healthy. He's like, but I can tell sometimes that you don't sleep well, but you're super healthy. Like you just wake up in the middle of the night and like trying to figure something out. And I was like, uh-huh. No, he was. Yeah, I think he was like a shaman or something like that. He's like Indian. He's like Indian something. So somewhere from he's somewhere like in the India Asia range, but probably but more Indian. I was like, okay. And then he's like, looking at your eyes, he's like, you have a really this, and this, and I was like, and all the things he was saying was. I don't know if I can. I'm trying to figure out like what I can say. Okay, but he was essentially saying. So he was like, I could tell you have a really like this type of spirit and this type of energy and this, that, and the third. And he's like, and I can tell that you're really healthy. And he's like, but I can also tell that you don't sleep well, that you have trouble sleeping. And it's not because of the way that you look. He's like, because I can see on the inside. And he's like, and so sometimes you just wake up in the middle of the night and then you can't go back to sleep. I was like, okay. So then he pulls out a piece of paper, right? So he pulls out a piece of paper, right? And he goes, I'm like, so he's, I know, I'm just trying to, but there's, so then he starts talking to me about like my last couple of years. He starts talking to me about my last couple of years and then what the next couple of years are. And then he was like, "This is the guy." It's actually no. It was actually even before this year. And it's this thing. And I'm like, okay. And then he asked me a question. I was like, "Do I stop here?" Well, I'm not saying what the actual thing was.
When he told you about your past couple of years, was he right?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's when you were like,
Okay.
I'm having a moment, and you're like, I'm in. I'm sitting there. I'm listening.
I'm standing here, trying to find the cultural center on a 15-hour delay. Why is this guy walking up to me in a park full of thousands of people? Has no idea who I am. And in a park full of thousands of people comes over and immediately was like, hey, can I talk to you for a second? You're super healthy. You wake up in the middle of the night doing this. Okay. And then he says, and your last couple of years were such and such and such and such. And I was like, yeah. And then he goes, actually, no. And he lists specific years. He's actually, no, technically it started the year before. And I was like, okay. So he pulls out a piece of paper. Guys, this is like insane, guys. And he asked me like 2 questions. I'm not going to say what the questions are, but he asked me 2 questions. So this is what he does. I swear to you not. I do not lie. He pulls out a blank piece of paper out of his thing, rips it, crumples it up, and hands it to me in my hand. And he says, hold this. And I said, okay. And he's like, he gets it all super fucking small. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, what the fuck is this guy doing? I'm still looking around like, where? So he pulls this screen paper, he rips it up, puts this small little thing, and he puts it in my hand like this. Puts it in my hand. He's like, hold it. And he says, so I'm holding the paper like this. And he asked me 2 questions. And he says, open up the paper. And I open up the paper, and the answers to the 2 questions are on the fucking paper.
Let's go. Okay.
I had something like that happen once.
And then he proceeds to go deeper into what the next couple of years and the this, and this. And he's looking at, and by that time, I was like, oh, I don't know what's happening. I'm like,
How much money did you get when it was over?
I blessed him like with like 100, not $100. It was like 100, Hong Kong dollars, which is like whatever. And so he proceeds to tell me, but then he tells me, he's like, and I'm not going to tell you guys all the details, but he's like, you can't say anything. You can't tell anybody, right? You can't tell anybody, but this and this and this is what's going to happen. And then he was like, do you want me to do more? And he's like, and I can tell, and I mean, when I tell you he got into the weeds, and I was sitting there going, what in the world is happening? And I was so, like, it was one of those things where it was like, you want to be further engaged, but also at the same time, it was like, I don't want to be, I feel like I got it. Like, I got it. And he was like, I can do it for this. Then he asked me another thing. And then after this, he takes a piece of paper. He asked me another couple of questions. And all he does is turn the paper over. He goes, you see, I already knew that. And had already had them written down. And I said, all right, bro. I said, I feel you. I appreciate. I was like, I feel you. I get it. And then I walked away, and he got into. He started explaining why the last couple of years were as such, and what had happened, and who done it, and this, and this, and the next couple of years, and this, and who these people. And I'm sitting there, and this was probably like over the course of like 10 minutes in a park of 1,000 people in Hong Kong. So, and he says, you can't say anything. So, of course, I walk away and I start recording it on my phone. Like, oh my gosh, guys, I'm super shook. Da 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 da. This would happen, and then I was like, but fuck. He was right about these two things already. Like they were already in my, and it was like they're not things that you could get. Like you pulled out the blank. I watched you pull out the piece of paper and put it in my hand. And you asked me two questions that had absolutely nothing to do with each other. And I opened it. You opened it, and I opened up, and the two things that I said are sitting on the paper. The entire time that I walked around the thing, I'm sitting there at the cultural center looking at all these artifacts, and I could not get this.
So you did find the cultural center. The most important part of this whole thing.
But couldn't get it out of my head the whole day, and then on the flight, and then this, and I cannot stop thinking about it.
Explains the look on his face when he called me and was like,
I've had a day.
I was like, because I kept waiting for you to because it did feel like I was sitting there like,
Yeah, I can't share it.
There's going to be more.
I'm not allowed
and
to.
then it was like, that's it, and I was like, okay.
I'm not allowed to say it because he said if I say it,
Thing won't happen.
he said the things won't happen. And yeah, I could go onto their thing and be like, oh, but that's superstitious. It's this and the third. I'm like, but is it? Is it superstitious if you've already done the things? Yeah, guys, it was fascinating, but it was definitely one of those things that if we had a camera crew there, your minds would have been blown. And because my mind was blown, I'm still sitting here today going, and I can't say, but it was just so accurate. And it was just fascinating again because it was like, but I have those experiences often though. Like I have a tremendous amount of things where like people from nowhere, and I'm not talking about that know me from things that they just want to come and they just want to like, hey, this is we talk about these things. But I thought it was just so fascinating to be in the park in Hong Kong, the most random of all places, that if any time I thought it would happen here. Right? Because I'm like, with the amount of places that I've gone to on the continent, that it would have happened here, that it would have happened. But it is funny though, because a lot of the elders or the seers all say the same things about me, which I think is very fascinating. It's very fascinating. Is that good, juicy content for our after hours?
Yeah, anyway, we've already had this conversation. Anyway, what do you want to say, ma'am? You said something like that happened to you?
Yeah, that's true.
Can you say, or will you redact this?
No, I can't say it. No, this guy, a random guy, walks up to me. I was in the Fields Mall, and then he stops me, and then he tells me something about my past. Okay, that I can.
Where'd the wine go?
He tells me.
Where's right there? Oh, which chair? How did it get up? How did it get up there? Oh, there.
He basically told me that.
Just a pinch. Just to keep.
Gonna happen in your life.
Just to
And they're obviously-
grease up the skids. That's enough.
And my first thought, okay, this is probably one of the guys that that want you to just give them money, just to say nice things about your life. And that was like my thought until he looks at me and he asks me like, okay, where's your mother? And immediately I paused because my mom, okay, sorry to get gloomy, but my mom passed away around 2019, 2020. And then he tells me that, yeah, I know your mom passed away. And this is like a complete random stranger. And then he tells me, okay, yeah, I know that. And these things are going to happen in your life, so write them down. And then I write them down. And yeah, I've not told anybody those things because I'm also skeptical. Like if I say it out loud, they're not going to come true. But I feel like one of those things are kind of coming into play. So yeah.
But it's like, it's interesting, right? Like, so like with these types of things, because so I'm big on, I have a keen interest in a lot of like these different things, like when it comes to like spiritual understandings, energy, all these other things. Like it's a real thing. It's a real thing. So I'm also very that but I also know that there's like really great people that are able to prompt responses, like, like in advance. Like it's very much, what was that movie that Will Smith did? Focus. Yes, it was Focus. Absolutely. Yes, it was Focus. And so you know exactly what I'm talking about, where they were they wanted that guy to gamble. There was that guy to gamble, right? And then at the end of the movie, was it when Margot is talking to him and saying like, "How did you know?" And he's bringing him through. So essentially, the way that have you seen Focus before? Have you seen Focus? So Focus. Essentially, I'm not giving you what the movie is, but I'm just saying this part of the movie was essentially they wanted to get this guy to gamble and gamble on a certain number. Right. And it was this big whale that doesn't have it has no impulse control. And so they knew that they would be able to get him. And so it was like so what they would do is that they started, was it like the night before or the moment that he got to the hotel, and they would start prompting the same numbers everywhere he was go in the hotel. Right. Yeah. So it'd be like in the hotel, it would be it would be the back of a license plate. It would be on somebody's ball cap. It would be, yeah. Like, oh, how many orders do you want? Oh, I want 22. It was the favorite, the player's jersey on the football game. So it was like 24 hours, 55. Yeah. And so it was like prompting him with these numbers. Oh, hey, sir, you're in parking spot 55. This and this, right? And so then when it came time for him to pick a bet on the number that he wants from 1 to 100, he had already been prompted to pick 55, because in the psychology behind it, and that's a real thing that people do all the time. That's what they do use for marketing, right? So marketing agencies, that's what they use all the time. That's how they prompt you with colors. That's why they prompt you with emotions. That's why they prompt you with certain animals, certain this. Everything is a thing to prompt you into buying, to get you into the emotional state to purchase something. So even when that moment was happening with me, I was obviously hyper skeptical, because I was like, yeah, but I was like, you can prompt me very easy. But the problem was the exchange was not long enough to prompt me for anything. It was so right on the nose and so quick, and it was nothing that is public at all, which is just so fascinating. So yeah, so that's my after, what are we calling it? My uncut diamond cut. Let's get to the after hours, where I get to bring my voice down like this and we get to talk to the real people for my after hours show. Yeah. Well, this is but here's the problem. The problem is, this is my regular voice. Yeah. Like, yeah. This is my actual voice. Like this. Yeah. 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 This is like this. If I could do like this. Yeah. But I can talk. But you just talk. If you just talk like this, you can just talk like this and say, but then there's no energy, and then no one can understand what I'm saying. So I naturally have to be up here, so everybody yeah. But now, if I really wanted to, I just bring it down like this. That's what I like. The problem is it vibrates in my whole body, and then it gets, yeah. Denim. I like denim. What? What?
No,
What?
he should do like putting people to sleep.
Yeah. You know what's funny? So here's the funny thing is that's what the funny thing is, it used to put me to sleep, because like I can talk on the hook, because what happens is it soothes me. I also get soothed. Because my when I talk like this, my whole body is vibrating and I'm so relaxed. But then what I do notice though is that when I talk like that, people start to go like this. No, they start to fall asleep. Yeah, they legitimately start to fall asleep. What are we doing? No, we can do it now. What are we doing? Huh? Oh no, you should go get some breath. It's probably, you're not used to it. It's probably the nicotine. Yeah, or is it me and my deep soothing voice? My deep soothing voice here for all the people. First of all, I'll say cut. Thanks. So what are we doing? So what are we doing? I know, but when are we doing my bedtime stories? And what type of are we writing? Why can't I just read existing IP?
Why not create our own that we can turn into?
Yes, I have ideas.
You have ideas? That would be interesting.
Come through ideas.
What are you gonna say? Okay.
You have ideas?
Maybe.
Okay, there you go.
All right.
Plus, we'll control the idea.
But I don't want 3. Let's do it immediately. All right. Let's cut.
So listen for this.
Meme coins, baby. Baby D meme coins.
Oh yeah, what the heck is this talk about the tribal? He keeps saying the tribal baby. What is this? Tribal baby.
Tribal baby.
What is this?
The king, the one